and welcome to kwickieTV NBA Today Kwick Shots. I'm Van Coleman, setting in for your regular host Ken Thompson, who is on the road tonight. But don't worry, Ken will be back tomorrow night right here on Kwick Shots. We're coming to you live this Monday, December 19th, with what we think is a bigger and better show, one we hope that you will really enjoy. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome in. If you're returning, well, you know the drill. We will recap the games of the weekend, check out the hot news from around the NBA, and take a look at tonight's games. Then we'll check in with our resident betting man, Johnny Robb, as far as the lines on tonight's games and what he thinks is really going to happen. Then we're going to be joined by a brand new panelist, fantasy expert Anthony Abbey, who will give you the insight on who should be on your team. All that tonight and more as we come to you from the United States and go live in 157 countries. Welcome to kwickieTV NBA Today Kwick Shots. Hey folks, let's welcome in our Kwick Shot team as they take a look at the games from over the weekend. 14 in total and 10 from Friday night. It was a mixed bag of results for most of the teams, although the leaders in both the East and the West Conference held court and kept their leads as they look to close out 2016 on a strong note as they head into the busy Christmas week. With that in mind, let's take a look at the recap and head to our Kwick Shots team.
Well, the LA Lakers snapped an 8-game losing streak to take the win in Philly 100-89 in what was probably a huge sigh of relief to head coach Luke Walton and his coaching staff. Chuck, how was this one won and lost?
Well, Jay, the final score was 100-89, so that's an 11-point difference. The Lakers opened this ball game on an 11-0 run at Philadelphia on Friday night. It was a great start for the team, led by their young star, D'Angelo Russell. He was hot in the early going. He even was hot on the defensive end. He came up with a big steal that led to a basket in transition. That was pretty much the difference right there. Once they got out to that hot start, I was not surprised that the Lakers were able to win this game. Philly is a team that is still trying to find their identity, as we've seen in previous seasons. I think that Philly is struggling from the lack of a true point guard and true point guard play. Bayless went down. I don't think Sergio's giving them much of anything. I think they need Ben Simmons to return badly.
The Celtics get the home win they were looking for. Johnny, who was the difference in the 96-88 win?
Well, you can't overlook Al Horford with 8 rebounds and 18 points. Then you got Isaiah Thomas with 26 points. But the biggest difference maker here was just that Charlotte had an awful night, shooting 26% from 3 and 32% from the field. So really bad.
The Atlanta Hawks defeated the Toronto Raptors 125-121, snapping the Raptors' 4-game win streak. Many expected Toronto to win at home. What was the difference in this ball game, Jay? Let us know.
Well, Chuck, this was a game which lacked defense in any capacity as both teams shot at least 53% from the field. Also, Toronto got a number of good contributions, including from DeMar DeRozan, he had 34, and Kyle Lowry added 27. But this game really was all about the glass, and in particular, that huge rebounding margin that Atlanta won over Toronto, 44-28 overall as a team, and leading the way was Dwight Howard with 27 points and a big 15 rebounds. In a game where, again, both teams were hot from the field, the rebounding discrepancy was really the big story in this one.
The Bucks turned up on Friday night, keeping the Bulls to only 69 points. The Greek Freak had 22 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds. Was he the difference?
Hey, Johnny. Along with those stats, Giannis Antetokounmpo also had 3 steals and 1 block. Anytime a player can fill up the stat sheet like that, they're definitely going to have a positive impact on the game and hopefully get the win. Over the past 4 games, he's been averaging 27.5 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. He's Mr. Do-It-All over there. Well, another factor that contributes to this consecutive loss against this Bucks team for the Bulls was their poor shooting from the field. They shot about 30% and 23.8% from the three-point land. Your go-to guy, Jimmy Butler, was 3 of 14 for 7 points, and Wade only had 12. So if they're going to beat anybody in the league, that can't happen. 7 points, it's not going to cut it.
Well, the Clippers hung on for a tight one, 102-98 over the Miami Heat. The win is the Clippers' fourth straight overall. This was a tight one down the stretch, and the Heat did come back. Chuck, how did you see this one play out?
Well, I thought it would be a very close ball game, and that's exactly what it was. It appeared the Clippers were going to pull away at the end, but Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson came storming back for the Miami Heat late there in the fourth quarter. And actually, if it wasn't for DeAndre Jordan, he was huge. He had some big blocks on the defensive end. And then how about him on offense at the end of the game? They were only up 2, and Chris Paul had a chance to ice it at the free throw line. He missed a free throw, and DeAndre Jordan was good for the putback, and that stretched the lead from 100-98 to 102-98. Therefore, the final score and the 4-point difference. But great effort from the Heat nonetheless. The Clippers are starting to look like they're about to potentially go on one of those Clipper runs in the middle of the season. They look good.
John Wall led a Washington Wizards offense that committed a season low 5 turnovers in a 122-108 victory over the Detroit Pistons. Johnny, how did you see this game play out?
Well, it was amazing to watch. Great contributions from every single person on the Wizards team. Super high shooting percentages from the field, from the three. But we got to talk about John Wall. 4 from 4 from 3, 8 out of 14 from the field, and 11 assists. This guy's definitely proving that he's a top 5 point guard. Super excited to watch him play throughout the rest of the season.
Nikola Vucevic had 21 points and 10 rebounds as the Orlando Magic defeated the Brooklyn Nets 118-111 on to snap their 6th home game losing streak. Chuck, talk me through what you saw.
Well, Thurs, I saw a team that was tired of losing at home, a team that they're still trying to figure out which direction they're going in, but a team that felt like they could beat a team like the Brooklyn Nets. They have to be able to win those games, the Magic do, if they want to be taken seriously in the near future and if they want to establish those building blocks. Vucevic was huge, 21 points, but 10 boards. He was doing it on both ends of the court, really just kept the tempo going for that team. That's a good win for the Magic. I saw a team that was scrapping. They were going for loose balls. They got a lot of the 50-50 balls, and they shot a great percentage in the game as well. So that was pretty much the difference in that game between the Magic and the Nets. How you doing, Coach? Let's flash back to Saturday night. The Houston Rockets defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 111-109 in a very close and well-played ball game. What was the difference in this one, Coach? Let me know your thoughts.
Well, Chuck, it all came down to the 3-ball and an identity. Houston Rockets were down double digits with 2:38 left in the game, and they nailed 5 3-pointers. They want layups, 3 balls, and free throws. When you look at Gordon and Ryan Anderson, they combined to score 48 points. Then you add James Harden's 28. It's all about space and pace and the confidence that if they miss threes, they're going to make their next one, no doubt. Where it was lost, Minnesota, 22 turnovers, 7 missed free throws. That's a young, unfocused team. I like the way Minnesota comes out and plays. They've just got to play 4 full quarters. They did against the Rockets.
Cleveland proved to be too strong for my on-the-road Lakers. Now 11-19 and probably praying to get home to the Staples Center. Cleveland was always going to be too strong. Although, how'd you see the game, Tracy?
Well, Nick Young, Swaggy P was Swaggy P. He gave a great effort getting 32 last night. But the Lakers are not going to beat Cleveland in Cleveland. There's too many weapons. You had Love, who had 27 and 7. The King had 26, and he was close to a triple-double. Kyrie got his numbers. JR chipped in with his 14. I'm telling you, the Cavs are way too strong for the Lakers to even think about being in the gym with right now. So they just have to show up and play their game, and they'll win. And as I say again, you got a good effort by the Lakers. Clarkson had 20, but the Cavs are just too strong. Did I say go Bruins?
Sunday night's close one was the 76ers edging out the Nets in a 108-107 victory in Philly. Joel Embiid, career high, 33 points. Was he the difference?
Well, Johnny, Embiid was the difference. A huge performance by Joel Embiid as he scored 17 of his career-high 33 points in the third quarter to really keep the Philadelphia 76ers in striking distance. He then made two critical free throws with 12 and a half seconds remaining in the game to really secure the victory. Embiid added 10 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks to his final stat line. He also shot very well for the game, 12 of 17 from the field. He was 7 of 8 from the free throw line and 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Ersan Ilyasova added 22 big points off the bench, but the real reason Philadelphia got the win was the continued big play of Joel Embiid.
Okay, Thurs. Sunday night, we saw the legend Tim Duncan have his famous number 21 retired and his jersey hanging in the rafters for the San Antonio Spurs. They then went on to defeat the Pelicans 113-100. Next, they got the Rockets. Can the Spurs continue to stay hot? Let me know what you think, man.
Hey, Chuck. With this win over the Pelicans, it was a fun win for the Spurs team, yet very emotional. Now they're saying goodbye to Tim Duncan after 19 seasons, 5 championships. So their whole mind state was to pay homage and have a fundamental game. They shot 48% from the field, 11 of 22 from three-point land. They had 31 team assists, 53 rebounds, 46 points in the paint, and they executed on a high level. And they have every motivating piece to continue that because they have a legacy to uphold with Tim Duncan being gone and with that jersey in the Raptors. So I see the streak continuing, and we're going to see tonight against the Rockets.
Well, the news headlines are big here on Monday after a massive weekend of NBA action. We will cover the Warriors' big win over the Trailblazers, Tim Duncan's jersey retirement, the injuries to Derrick Rose and D'Angelo Russell. It's all here and more. Let's go to the Kwick Shots team for all the latest.
All right, Tracy. How about Tim Duncan getting the number 21 retired and hung from the Raptors in San Antonio? But here's the tough part. Where does he rank amongst all-time greatest Spurs? Names like Gervin, Robinson, Silas, Bowen. The list goes on and on. Where is he amongst the all-time Spurs?
Chuck, great question, man. Congrats to Tim Duncan, well-deserved. It was great to see that happen for him because he's not only a special player, he's a special guy. But ranking Spurs, there's 2 Spurs that I can name right now that are right up there at the top, and no disrespect to David Robinson, but Iceman George Gervin and Tim Duncan, and I give Tim Duncan the nod because he has more rings. So Tim Duncan is the greatest Spur, in my opinion. And you need to get your thing together with Coach because he's calling you out a lot, man. Go Bruins. Did I mention that too?
Okay, Coach. The Golden State Warriors really laid it on the Portland Trailblazers the other night in Oakland. They beat them by 45 points. Is it time to panic for the Portland Trailblazers, or is this a game they can just put in their past and continue to push forward and still salvage a great season?
Well, Chuck, I wouldn't panic, but I would schedule an EKG for the entire team. To lose by 45 points, that's a good old-fashioned beatdown. Now, the error is human. To make mistakes in execution, you're going to have slippage. Turnovers, you can correct those. But it was heart and consistency. They've got enough talent. A year ago, they were 27th in league payroll. Now they're third at $113 million. In the Bible, it says, when much is given, much is expected. I'm expecting much more from this Portland team. They need to have heart, they have to have consistency, and they've got to play every night like pros. I want to see more fight. I wouldn't panic, but I'm worried.
While Carmelo Anthony returned for the Knicks, Derrick Rose missed the game where the Knicks lost 127-114. He has missed 4 of the past 6 games due to back spasms. How serious is the ailment?
Well, Yannick, it can be serious, man, because it can be a little bit of anything that's connected to the back that can cause the back spasms. Like in my case, I had tons of back spasms late in my career because of my hip. And I now have a hip replacement, but it was my hip issues that was pulling on the back, which caused back spasms. Now, he's clearly had knee issues. The knee is pulling on something else, which is pulling on the back. The body, everything in the body is connected. So it can be serious. Hopefully they find out what the issue is so he can get back on the court. Go Bruins.
Well, a couple of quiet games there for number 0 of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Then all of a sudden, bang, he erupts for his 13th triple-double of the season with 26 points, 22 assists, and 11 rebounds as the Thunder topple the Suns 114-101. Johnny, what's next for Russell Westbrook?
MVP. MVP's next. So he's gonna continue to put up these points and assists and rebounds. We'll see plenty more triple doubles throughout the season. He's heading towards MVP, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get it. I think that the next thing for Russell Westbrook and what he needs to do is take his team to the next level and find that flow and that synergy that is ultimately just going to start winning games, tougher games.
I see D'Angelo's being rested with that knee injury. It's a long season, although the Lakers need D'Angelo firing. What do you think, Phantom? Is the knee a serious problem?
Well, I have to agree with Jay here in thirds. I think the knee is a serious problem. It scares me that D'Angelo Russell is so young and he's already on a minutes restriction. I think that is a red flag for Laker fans. I think they should be extremely worried about D'Angelo Russell. Obviously, when he's on the court, the kid has loads of potential. He's special. But you know, to miss almost 15 games and the team has played 30, we're nearly halfway through the season and we don't know how he's going to finish the season. And I hope that he can finish a career. When we look at young players, you know, with injuries, Grant Hill, Derrick Rose, a lot of careers were kind of derailed by injuries. And for him to be on a restriction for his minutes this early in his career, I hope that he'll be okay. But it is time to cause for concern for Lakers fans.
I see D'Angelo's being rested with that knee injury. It's a long season, although the Lakers need D'Angelo firing. What do you think, Phantom? Is the knee a serious problem?
Well, the injury report actually was just updated by the LA Lakers, and D'Angelo is listed as probable for their next game, which is going to be on the road against Charlotte, and that's tomorrow night. So it looks like he is going to be back in the lineup and available. But this is now 13 games that he's missed this season out of the Lakers' 30 games thus far. And actually, I do see cause for concern with this injury moving forward. With 13 games already missed out of 30, about roughly half of the games missed. He's still a young player, but I think there might be some more to this knee injury than meets the eye, as he's still rumored to be on minutes restriction at this time, and he's probably going to be held out in one of the next 3 road games for precautionary reasons. I keep a close eye on this knee. Well, the trade rumor mill is working overtime, with the most recent one being the Lakers trying to get their hands on Nerlens Noel. Tracy, what do you think? Would this be a good fit?
Jay, I don't think it's going to be a good fit. The reason why is because they have too many young guys. When you put too many young guys that don't know how to play on the same team, it's going to be the blind leading the blind. If anything, get a franchise player that's a veteran that can lead these guys in the right direction. You get another young player, you got to wait for him to get right, just like you're waiting for the rest of them to get right. So it adds another problem to the team, but it also adds another talented player to the team if you're looking at just talent, but you're looking at how quick are they going to develop adding another young guy to the mix. So that's what I think on it. And did I say go Bruins?
Well, the Houston Rockets continued their dominating start to the early part of the NBA season as they beat the New Orleans Pelicans 122-100. Along the way, Houston set an NBA regular season record of 24 made three-pointers. Chuck, how do you rate the Rockets' performance?
Well, Jay, it's hard to know where to rate the Rockets for me because I don't get caught up in the hype, the regular season hype that is, like most fans around the world. Listen, I love James Harden. I love the Houston Rockets. I've been a big fan of his game and their team for several seasons now. But until I see them get it done in the playoffs, I can't really rank them anywhere. They're one of the hotter teams in all of basketball, certainly in the Western Conference. 24 three-pointers is utterly insane, no matter when or how you do that. But again, this is a team that's great offensively. I wonder if they can get the defense to show up down the stretch and show up in the playoffs. But right now, one of the better teams in the league, of course.
Tonight, our Kwick Shots team will take a look at the 5 games on the schedule. with their take on the Wizards versus the Pacers, the Pistons versus the Bulls, Lakers versus the 76ers, the Suns and T-Wolves, and the Mavs and Nuggets. Let's see what our team has to say.
All right, Coach. Washington Wizards head to Indiana to take on the Pacers. Who wins this one and why?
Well, Chuck, before I give you my answer, let's look at a couple keys. Number one, who wins the battle of the boards? These are two poor rebounding teams. I'm going to give the advantage to Washington. Then Paul George, he's been hot of late. Who's going to slow him down? Otto Porter? Maybe if Kelly Oubre plays? Then I'm going to look at the point guard matchup. You've got Wall versus Teague. There's a little bit of history there. And then last but not least, Bradley Beal has been dominating for the Washington Wizards. Who slows him down? Could it be Glenn Robinson III? He's playing that 2-3 position, and the Pacer staff are very pleased with him. Washington's been playing well. They've won 4 straight. I think you can mark down a 5th straight win for the Washington Wizards. They're going to work their magic.
Another even game. The Pistons head to the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bulls. Are we hoping the Bulls can win this one, Chuck?
Yes, I'm hoping the Bulls can win this one. However, the Bulls now sit at 500, 13-13 overall in the season. They've dropped the last 3 in a row, 6 of the last 8. And now the word out of Chicago is that potentially the locker room, the team, some of the staff members have turned their back on Coach Fred Hoiberg and completely have tuned him out. That is what I believed would happen all along when they had, Jimmy Butler, Rondo, and Dwayne Wade come in there. A lot of these guys are very headstrong. Hoiberg doesn't seem like the type of coach that can really manage those type of guys when they hit adversity, which is where they now are at. However, the Pistons have problems of their own. They had a 45-minute closed locker room session after Saturday night's game when they dropped another back-to-back blowout loss. So either team is really looking for a big win here, but I'm going to go with the Bulls tonight.
Well, the Atlanta Hawks head to Oklahoma City to take on Westbrook's Thunder. What do you think in this one, Tracy? Will the Thunder be too much?
Well, it's going to be a good game, Jay, because you got the Hawks winning their last 3 out of 5, and OKC, they've only won 2 out of their last 5. But OKC is home. They're in front of their home crowd. Their crowd is crazy, man, and they're very supportive. And Westbrook really feeds off of them. He's coming off his 13th triple-double. I see the Thunder getting this one. Western Conference team over an Eastern Conference team is, it's a difference of strength of conferences as well. But I see Oklahoma City taking care of business tonight because they need a win more than the Atlanta Hawks does. So even though the Hawks' record is worse, it's just a sense of urgency that Oklahoma City needs a win right now at home. So I'll take the Thunder.
Okay, Jay. Phoenix Suns head to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. We all know the Timberwolves dropped a tough one against Houston the other night. Can they bounce back? Let me know.
Well, Chuck, dropped a tough one. That doesn't accurately depict what occurred in that one, as Minnesota completely choked and blew a game in probably one of the worst fashions that you possibly can. One of the worst losses this year for sure, as they were up by 12 points with about 2 minutes to go in that one. Now, Phoenix doesn't come in much better as they're riding a 2-game losing streak of their own, and they've lost 6 of their last 8 overall. Look, both these teams are pretty poor right now. They're 2 of the worst 3 teams in the Western Conference record-wise. We've got one team coming in Phoenix, which is terrible on the road. They're 4-11 this year, and Minnesota isn't much better at home as they're 3-10. If I had to pick this one, I like what Minnesota is doing, notwithstanding the 12-point blown lead there late. They did play well, though, against Houston. I look for them to win tonight. In our final game, Dallas will head to Denver to take on the Nuggets. Dallas got the win last night, and Denver beat the Knicks on Saturday. This should be a good contest. Johnny, who do you think will win and why?
Well, it's tough to say because, Dallas has been playing a little bit better, even through all the injuries that they've had. But ultimately, I still think Nuggets are going to take this, having home court advantage, averaging 10 more rebounds per game. They're just a better ball club. So, I think it'll be close, but I got to give this one to Denver.
Well, it's time for Johnny Rabb, our resident expert in selection and spreads, who's been on fire of late as he continues to pick the games to win on. Johnny, what do you have for us tonight? Well, Johnny, what about your over-under bet?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Detroit against the Bulls, 195, and I'm going to say over. Just a gut feeling, but I'm going to say over.
Johnny, everybody wants to know, what's your money line bet for tonight?
My money line bet for tonight is going to be Washington over the Pacers in Indiana. It's plus 200, so 100 down wins you 200 if they win. John Wall playing phenomenal ball. Pacers dealing with a few injuries, so I got to go with the Wizards on this one. I really think they're going to get it, though. I really do.
This is the one everybody wants to know. What's your money on tonight? What's your overall bet?
I got to go with Washington on this one with plus 6 to cover against the Pacers in Indiana. John Wall just playing some phenomenal ball. Pacers dealing with some injuries. Not only do I think they'll cover the spread, but I think they're going to take the game as well.
Now on to our fantasy sports segment. The Christmas week is packed in the NBA with a total of 48 games over the next 7 days. We've got you covered with insight from our guest panelist, Anthony Abbey, on how to get your teams ready to compete.
Okay, Anthony, for our one-day fantasy league owners, who is the most reliable, high-salary player in today's game?
Well, Chuck, it's a popular choice, but a reliable one in Bradley Beal. He's going for $7,000, and he's hit that 6-time sweet spot pretty often lately, with 33 points tallied in 5 out of his last 6 games. But another reason why he's so big tonight is because he's playing against the Indiana Pacers. Now, the Indiana Pacers have both their shooting guards in Monta Ellis and Rodney Stuckey out with injuries tonight. And given that Bradley Beal can put up 50 points like he did last night against a good team like the Clippers, I think he has a good chance of putting up big fantasy points tonight against an undermanned Indiana Pacers squad.
What about as a value buy? Which player at under $6,000 has caught your eye for today's slate?
Jay, I got to go with Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Now, he's only going for about $5,900, and he has huge upside tonight. Now, the last 2 fantasy games he had didn't look that special at 24 and 27 fantasy points respectively, but in both those games he was limited to only 20 minutes even though he was in the starting lineup. The reason being is that sometimes he gets into foul trouble and gets pulled to the bench early. But tonight, he's going to be playing against the Dallas Mavericks, and the last time he went up against Dallas Mavericks, who are doing terribly this season, he put up a monster 50 fantasy points against them, and that was away. Tonight, he's going to have home court advantage, and I think that's going to make it even easier for him, and he'll have another big game. So I'd go with Nikola Jokic.
For standard fantasy leagues, are there any great picks off the waiver wire for Week 9 that you really like?
Now, that's a great question, and waiver wire picks can be tough because it really depends on how many teams are in your league. But let's be really inclusive here and say we're going to get someone that's very likely to be available. My choice would be Marquise Chris of the Phoenix Suns. Now, Chris has been doing well when been given minutes, and he's only owned in about 8% of Yahoo leagues with 3 games this upcoming week. The Phoenix Suns aren't going to go anywhere anytime soon and probably not going to make the playoffs, so as a result, they're using this garbage time to develop their young talent. Chris has averaged over the last 7 days 11 points, 7 rebounds, 1.3 threes, and 1 block in 29 minutes of play. So basically, if you can overlook his poor field goal shooting percentage, then when this guy gets minutes, he has a chance to be a great slot, especially at the utility position, so I think you should pick him up.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed our show. If you agree or disagree with any of the comments, please let us know, as now is your time. If you have questions for our panel or topics you'd like our experts to discuss, please let us know and we'll review them for tomorrow night. Once again, thank you for joining us on kwickieTV, NBA Today, Kwick Shots. See you tomorrow night, folks.